We've talked a lot about some of the parts of tshuva, what situations it works in, various people, levels, and circumstances. But interestingly, only now in Perek Beis Halacha Beis, what we're up to, chapter 2, Halacha 2, in the Rambam's Hilchos Teshuva, does he actually break down the various steps of tshuva, very practically, how it is done. The Rambam writes, Umahi HaTshuva, what actually is this tshuva that we speak of? Hu sheya'azov hachotei cheto. Step number 1, the sinner must leave his sin. In order to even begin the tshuva process, you have to stop committing the sin for which you're doing tshuva. V'yasiro mimachashavto. It's not enough just to stop doing it, but remove it from your thoughts. Like anybody who's trying to break a bad habit, at first when you stop performing that habit, it still lingers in your mind and you want it and desire it. But to really overcome that temptation and that challenge, you have to rid your mind of it. Find other better things to fill your mind with. V'yigmor belibo shelo ya'asehu od. You have to come to a complete commitment in your heart, a full belief and commitment to not commit this sin any further. Shene'emar, as the pasuk in Yeshayahu chapter 55 says, Ya'azov rasha darko. That the most basic level, the most basic part of the tshuva process is to stop committing the sin that you've been struggling with. That's step number 1. Continues the Rambam. V'chein yisnachem al she'avar. Similarly, a person has to express regret on his past actions. It's not enough just to stop doing it, but also to confess verbally, as we have discussed at length, your regret and your sorrow over having committed these sins in the past. Shene'amar ki acharei shuvi nichamti. As the pasuk in Yirmiyahu says, after I do tshuva, I will express my regret over my past actions. We're going to come back soon and discuss that line in a bit more depth. The Rambam continues and says, V'ya'ira lav yodea ta'alumos. A person's tshuva should be so sincere and genuine and real that he who knows all of our thoughts, our Creator Hashem, should be able to, so to speak, testify on our behalf. Shelo yashuv lezeh achet leolam. Our tshuva should be so real that it should be as if Hashem can say, I am testifying that this person will no longer commit this sin. I can see how sincerely he regrets it, how fully he's committed himself to refrain from it in the future, how seriously he is taking this tshuva process, that Hashem can say, I know that this person won't falter in this area again. Shene'amar v'lo nomar od Elokeinu l'maaseh yadenu. We will no longer point to other false gods or ideas and proclaim them to be our own. Wow. Imagine Hashem listening to your tshuva, seeing how sincerely you truly are repenting, and being able to say with confidence, I know that this person's tshuva is so real that I have absolute confidence that they will never fail in this area again. Finally, the Rambam's last line in Halacha Beis, V'tzarech lehisvados bisvasav. A person, of course, needs to confess verbally with his lips, V'lomar inyanos elo shagamar belibo, and to speak all of these ideas that he has now come to in his heart. All of these thoughts and feelings that a person has during the tshuva process should not remain merely thoughts and feelings, but should actually be expressed bisvasav, with your lips and with your words. Very powerful idea. Of course, we've spoken at length about vidui devarim, about confession with words, but the Rambam here seems to add that not just the confession, but even our commitments to our future should not be something that just remains in our heads or hearts, but should be something that we actually speak. I think a few years ago, this really struck me when I realized, at least for myself, that my tshuva was usually being mostly done in my thoughts. I would read the tefillos from the Machzor, and I would try to think of my own life and my own challenges in my mind, but very rarely did I actually speak about them to myself and to Hashem. And I think it really can change the whole tshuva experience if we take some time during Rosh Hashanah, especially during Yom Kippur davening, and even during Elul as we prepare, during the Aseret Yemei Tshuva in between, to actually speak in shul, taking a walk, while you're sitting alone, there doesn't have to be anybody else around, just between ourselves and Hashem, to actually verbalize our confessions and our commitments. I want to go back just for a moment to one line that the Rambam cited in the middle, when he wrote that a person, one step of tshuva is to regret our past actions. He quoted from the book of Yirmiyahu, Ki acharei shuvi nichamti. After my tshuva, I will regret. Why is it specifically after shuvi? After my tshuva process, will I then regret my past actions? And I think the explanation might be that one of the things that holds us back from doing tshuva, especially for the sins that we struggle with the most, is that we're not really sure, let's be honest, if we want to stop committing these sins. There's a reason we're doing them in the first place. We desire them. We're overwhelmed. They're hard to avoid. And therefore, deep down, of course, we want to stop doing them, but there's a part of us that holds us back and maybe wants to keep going. And it's hard to fully regret our mistakes of the past if there's a small part of us that maybe doesn't regret them as fully as it should. But once we've done as much tshuva as we can, once we've really made the commitment to move forward, to avoid these sins, even though it's hard, and even though we might feel like we're missing something, pretty quickly and pretty soon, we realize that of course we made the right decision. And very quickly we realize that those things that might have felt good in the past or that we desired were really meaningless and empty. After you taste a little bit, ta'amu u're'u ki tov, after you get a little taste of what tshuva really is, then you look back and say, how could I have ever made those mistakes? And your nechama, your confession, your regret is that much stronger. Sometimes it's the first few steps that are the hardest, to really fully commit ourselves and to speak our commitment, to do real tshuva. But in those moments, days, and weeks after you continue with the tshuva process, and you realize how much better your life is, how much better you feel, how much more real and true you are being to yourself and to Hashem, then of course when you look back, you can have an even deeper regret and more deeply commit yourself moving forward to continue on the right path.